What's going on, everyone? It's Sean, Denver real estate agent with Co-Listings, and this is your real estate market update for the Denver area for March 2020. And surprise, surprise, one of the big themes of this one is going to be the coronavirus. Everyone wants to know, what do I think about this? So we're going to get into that. I've got a lot of questions at the very end, so I'll probably breeze through a little bit more than I usually do with some of these stats and data, so I can spend more time getting you my opinion on what's going on. So let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to cover a few things here: days on market, months of housing inventory, number of new listings, sales price, mortgage interest rates, Denver area unemployment rate, and as I said a moment ago, your questions. So first off the top, we're sitting at 11 days on market. Properties are moving very fast, and this does show that too. We've seen a 54% drop month over month and a 31% drop year over year. So it's taking less time to sell houses. We're moving into a very, very quick, fast move, fast-paced season of real estate as we enter into spring and summer. You can see here that this looks pretty typical of year over year growth. It is very typical for this time of year. Months of housing inventory, we're sitting at 1 month. That really has not changed for a very long time. I just want to point out here, back in 2011, where we saw the very peak of the recession in terms of how real estate was impacted, sitting at 16 months of housing inventory. We've now been going back and forth between 1 and 2 months of inventory since 2014. So it wouldn't surprise me at some point if we see this for the first time in a long time tick up above 2 months of housing inventory. I know that would be a welcomed sight for a lot of buyers. Number of new listings sitting at 3,583. That's a 4% increase month over month and just under 18% increase year over year. Median sale price just under $465,000. And when we look at the chart here, this is steady up and to the right, which is what you want if you're a home buyer. Mortgage interest rates are sitting at 3.65 for the 30-year, the 15 years at 3.06, and the 5/1 adjustable at 3.11. And you can look at the micro here over the last 12 months, and over on the right there, you see that there's been a slight uptick in interest rates. But if you look at the macro, we've had worse for certain. But I did reach out to one of my business partners who handles a lot of my clients' loans, and here's what he had to say about the slight uptick in interest rates. He said it's not quickly explained, and he said that there are 3 factors. Number 1, lenders are at capacity. So he had an influx of a lot of applications, and lenders are at capacity, so they've increased the interest rates. 2, servicers are losing money. They bought loans 3 to 6 months ago and are now being paid off due to refinancing, and they're only getting 2 to 5 months of payments on a loan they purchased for $5,000 to $10,000, losing thousands on every early payoff. And then the last one is the market volatility in the Treasury bond yields that cratered and hit an all-time low on March 9th at 3% for the 30-year fixed. That news got out and, of course, created all these applications that came in. And before those applications were locked in with interest rates, the markets went back up again. So thanks, David, for providing that additional insight. Really appreciate it. The unemployment rate for the Denver area is sitting at 2.7%. That's in comparison to a 3.6% national average. And that has increased month over month, but 23% drop year over year. Here's what it looks like. Again, I was looking at this chart earlier today just to sort of get some idea about worst case scenario in the event we do see a worst case scenario with this corona crisis. And we saw at its peak of unemployment rate back in 2011, the unemployment rate was sitting at 9.1%. So we're a ways off from that, currently at 2.7%. And just something to keep an eye on here. Who knows what the near-term future will hold for the economy, but this is something that I'm keeping a very close eye on. All right, let's move to everyone's questions here. Rich has got a few that he's snuck into one post. What's happening with the demand and supply? Well, as I mentioned before, that there's a very low demand and a lot of supply. You've got a lot of buyers who are shopping right now for this spring market. They're ready to buy. The weather's good. The weather's getting warmer. The sun is out, and people want to buy, and it's creating a lot of demand, a lot of competition and houses are selling for over asking price in many cases. Your next question, how to show your house during social distancing? Well, there's a few things that I would encourage anyone to do, which is to sanitize the entire house. If you're a homeowner that's listing your house and you've got people walking through, also make available the sanitizing bottle so that people can use that as they walk through. I know that I've been doing that as I've been going with clients through houses over the last week or two. If you're an agent listing a house, if you're a homeowner considering putting your house on the market, I know that a lot of realtor associations are encouraging real estate agents to do virtual open houses instead of real ones, and it's relatively easy to do. You can do a virtual home tour where you record a video and you walk through the house, or you can do a live stream where you walk through and you add your commentary. There's a lot of ways to do this. I think that that's a really, really good way instead of having a lot of people through your house in a short amount of time. However, if you're a homeowner, real estate agents will do what you want. So if you want people walking through your house and you're comfortable with that, then I would just encourage you as a homeowner to take as much precaution as necessary in terms of sanitizing your house after people come through. And lastly, from Rich, where can we expect to see Denver market in the next few months? Regards to price increase, decrease. Well, it's hard to say at this point how far-reaching this will impact the real estate market here in the Denver area. I know a lot of people in entry-level jobs have lost their jobs because the state's required these restaurants and bars and salons to close until they get the epidemic under control. My hope is that with all of the world's resources, medical professionals, governments, entrepreneurs trying to attack this from a positive standpoint and mitigate the health risk, I hope that this is a few-month issue instead of a 6-month or more issue. Next question comes from Robert. Are there still many active buyers physically looking at houses? At the moment there is, and I can speak from ground level here. It is a very competitive market right now. People are still out shopping, and it's creating a highly competitive situation where there's multiple offers coming in. I can say that I've experienced this on the buy side with buyers' clients, but also on the list side with clients who are selling their house. Brian asks, do you think this will open up opportunities to purchase rental properties? I think this is a significant possibility. It just depends on what your spread needs to be in terms of purchase price and how long you plan to hold that rental property. If we see significant impacts to the real estate market and you've got the cash available, I would encourage you to start looking at where those deals are. Make sure and reach out to your real estate agent and make sure that he or she's got you on a search for properties and areas that you want to buy. So depending on how deep this recession will hit, hopefully it's not deep, but if we're planning for a worst case scenario here, if you're an investor and you've stocked away the cash, this is going to be your time to buy and your time to capitalize on a down real estate market. Chris asks, short versus long-term home price impact. Will pricing recovery follow market if there is a sharp rise? I'm assuming that you're talking about the stock market taking a dip. If so, the real estate market isn't as volatile and doesn't see those high swings. It's a little bit more steady, which is why I'm a big believer in investing into some of these hard assets like real estate. But if we see long-term depression or long-term recession, real estate market will also follow along as well, because it just is a cascading impact. If prices drop, it'll be a really great opportunity for investors. If you're a homeowner and you have the ability to weather through the storm, hang on, hang tight, try not to do anything too dramatic, be steady-minded and even keel through this whole process, and you will make it through. This is consistently how things have been. We do have market ebbs and flows, increases and decreases, rises and drops. So just make sure that you're approaching it with that in mind. Next question, how much of a hit will the metro area take? Percentage estimates. I don't have a percentage estimate. I'm pretty conservative in terms of where my predictions will be because it seems like this corona crisis seems to be changing on a day-by-day basis. I think that once we start to steady out the new cases, I'll probably have a little bit better feeling knowing as to how this will impact the real estate market. But as of right now, I'm just along for the ride, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that the world's health professionals, governments, entrepreneurs are going to attack this as quickly as possible so that we can mitigate the risk. Next question, I'm getting ready to back out on a purchase in Aurora nearby Southlands. Is that the right decision? Really concerned about the long-term damage to the job market. I think this is a very personal question for you. I don't have enough of an insight into where you are financially, what type of job you have, to really make a good assessment. But I would say that if you've got a good steady job and there's confidence that you're not going to lose that job, and you've got enough savings stashed away to be able to weather out any storm, I'd say you're probably pretty safe, and you should move forward with that. If you're looking at this purchase as sort of a short-term flip, I think that's probably a bad thing to do at this point. If you're thinking long-term, or you're a long-term investor, you plan on having this house for a long time, you'll probably be fine. And as I said, if you've got the cash stashed away and enough reserve, you probably will be able to weather this out. But as I mentioned at the very beginning, I don't know your financial situation or your job situation, so I can't give specific advice to you. But hopefully you can take these suggestions with a grain of salt and make the best decision for yourself. So good luck there. Next, will the market plateau or drop? Gosh, I really hope that it doesn't drop significantly, but every market sees its ebbs and flows, and so a lot of people have been saying that it's time to see a shift. And I just don't like to see this much of a shift in this short period of time. As I mentioned before, we're really taking a look at this corona thing on a day-by-day basis. And when we start to see some leveling out of new cases, I think that people will have a little bit better idea about how this will impact the economy as a whole. As of right now, it seems like a lot of people, especially in entry-level jobs, are losing their jobs, which is never good. So I'm really hoping for the best, but really too soon to make any sort of long-term predictions. How will showings work in the few months? Will that have an impact? I can say right now that it really hasn't had much of an impact. It really depends on a per state basis. Here in Colorado, if they do the requirement where you can't leave your house except for emergencies or food or health reasons, then that of course could impact showings. Then real estate agents may shift to a little bit more of a virtual setup. Will buyers put in offers for homes sight unseen without seeing in person? We'll see. It really depends. But I'm hoping that in terms of the shelter in place that we're hearing that Colorado might enact, it may impact number of showings, and those showings may drop, and people may just decide to not list their house. So as I said before, it's really too soon to say, but we're taking this thing on a case-by-case basis. Lashida asks, with reduced interest rates, do you expect an increase in home prices? Do you see sellers asking for higher prices since the loans will be cheaper? Well, this is more of a supply and demand issue more than it is an interest rate issue. I think that lower interest rates certainly bring out more buyers. I think that's something to consider, but I think it has more to do with how much inventory there is versus how many shoppers, home buyers there are. And right now we're in this spring season where we're transitioning out of the winter where inventory is at its most depressed level. You've got fewer inventory, and as things get warmer, the weather gets warmer, the sun is out, the temperature is increasing, more buyers are going out. And so it is creating a very dramatic competitive situation. In every case that I've been in terms of my clients who are under contract right now, it has been competitive, both on the list and the buy side. And last question from John, I'm currently at 4.5%. Should I refi? I certainly think that you should talk to a mortgage professional, and they can probably give you a little bit better insight than I can. At the moment, it appears surface level that the current interest rates are lower than what you have, and so surface level, it seems like it would save you some money. I know that many lenders, mortgage lenders, are saying hang tight for a moment before refinancing in order to see what happens with these interest rates. But my guess is the interest rates are going to remain low, and so it's certainly something that you should take a look at and see if it makes sense for your financial situation. All right, that wraps up a very interesting market update for the Denver area. area. I hope you found it valuable, and thank you so much for your questions. So many questions. Keep them coming. And if you want more of these videos, please consider subscribing and liking. And I do these types of videos once a month, and I also do some additional videos around some other topics occasionally too. So I'd love to have you as a subscriber to my content. Sean Mitchell, Denver Real Estate Agent with Co-Listings. Thank you so much for watching, your time and attention. It's really appreciated, and I'll catch everyone on the next video.